Superbooth 19. I'm here on the stand of Kilohearts. How are you guys?
We're good.
I'm good, but my voice is a little bit busted from these days, but yeah.
You are from Sweden, right?
Yeah, we're from Sweden. We're Kilohearts and from Sweden, Linköping.
So you bring some fresh air to the plugin world from Sweden.
Yeah, I hope so.
With all your known YouTubers from there, from Cuckoo and different others. I think the country is very musical when I see that Electron and all these other companies coming from there, or Teenage Engineering, now Kilohertz. So
We do have a lot of musicians and also music companies. And like Softube, for example, is from the same city we are. And there's Propeller Heads and lots of
of course ABBA.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, we talked to a guy from LA before, and he said every time you need someone to do some music stuff in LA, they're Swedish for some reason.
Yeah, of course, the biggest tracks out there are from Sweden often. If you see the producer, it's coming from Sweden.
Yeah. We have like Max Martin and Dennis Pop write a lot of the pop music that you hear on the radio. And I don't know why it's like this, but it seems like we are a music nation in some sense. Yeah.
Kilohertz is a plugin development company. So how long are you already in the business?
I think we started like 2012, is that right?
Yeah, 2011 or 12, depends a little bit how you define it.
Was your first synthesizer not the blue synthesizer one or?
Yes, it was called Kilohearts 1. It was a pretty straightforward synthesizer, like a virtual analog subtracted synthesizer. We made it mostly to get our feet wet. We were actually working as freelancers at the time, and we had like a gap between assignments. So I had this old synthesizer that I had started but not finished. So we took that one, finished it, and released it, and all that in a span of 3 months. So.
What do you think about the plugin industry currently in 2019? Is it much changed when you started 2012 to now? Is it more activity or less, or how do you see it as developer?
I don't know really, because it feels like to us that we're just now really seriously getting into the plugin business. Like we've been doing like it off and on for a while, like doing a little bit of plugins, then doing some contracting work or freelance work. Now we're doing it full time, and it's a lovely business. It's so open. Everyone shares their ideas with each other. Everyone is friends. It's really like lovely. Like there's no backstabbing or hard competition, at least not in our experience.
And what makes from the plugin side your plugin so unique or so differently? Do you have a different plugin design, or what do you have a main mission for your plugins maybe?
Well, with our plugins, we try to focus a lot on the UI to keep it really simple and easy to use. We have a very clean UI design where we do a lot of like flat vector graphics, and we also don't shy away from being digital. Other companies are simulating hardware a lot, and they make their interfaces to look like hardware.
Emulations.
Exactly, emulations. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we do more of a software route. We're software people from the start. We never used, we are sort of hobbyist musicians, but I don't think we really used hardware synthesizers that much. When I was young, I was using like Fast Tracker 2 and Jazz Club Buzz and like these freeware programs.
Is there, for you personally, when you make music with plugins or with software, what was the main feature you say that's for me the better, flexibility or the sound, or why do you choose to be a software guy?
Yeah, I guess
when we have now in a situation we are surrounded by tons of hardware.
Yeah.
But how much people use in their tracks is doesn't know. Maybe.
But for me, it's a lot about like recall and stuff like that. You can save things, you can instantiate them how many times you want. You can like copy, move things around in a way that you can't really do with hardware, which is both a blessing and a curse because you can keep messing with things forever and never get done. But for me, that's kind of what I like with software, that I can just, I'm more free in a way. Yeah.
One benefit of plugins is, of course, it doesn't fill up your living room. And
Yeah, that is true.
your disc, but
Yeah.
not that much.
Yeah.
So Kilohearts is, you started with the KS1,
Yeah.
and then after it comes, I think, the effects.
Two more effects called Saturator and Disperser, which are still quite popular actually. And after that, people didn't hear about us for a while because we were working hard on the snap-ins and multipass, which we released, which is our modular framework. So we have all these what we call snap-ins, which are tiny effects to the point, like a chorus and a reverb and whatever. And we also have snap-in hosts, like multipass, which is a multi-band processor that lets you like put these effects on the high band or the low band or stuff like that. And now we have also made a synthesizer that lets you use these snap-ins inside the synthesizer as effects processing units.
And my thinking are right that new Phaseplant Synthesizer has this snap-in technology also inside.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
How is it for you a way to offer people a longer, a bigger way to experiment with the sounds, or is it more to what is for you the advantage to use this technology?
Well, one thing we had already made the snap-in effects, so like putting them inside the synthesizer was quite obvious. And it also gives you a ton of power because you can stack these as many as you like, basically. And you can modulate them with LFOs. You can use them polyphonically, so they're per voice. And you can even drop in our parametric equalizer into the synthesizer and modulate the bands and whatever with LFOs.
So the modular trend is also arriving at Kilohearts with effects already, and yet now with also in the synthesizer.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. Though I think we do it a little bit differently from other people because we're not moduling our modular framework on hardware like others. We're doing our own thing, our own method of doing it.
And for Superbooth now, you have a near final version of the Phaseplant available, or
Yeah.
in beta probably.
Yeah, we're going to release it in hopefully less than a month if everything goes to plan. It looks quite busy here, but I'll clear this out for you in a second. We have the generators here, which are like your oscillator section. The effect section here, which is the snap-ins that I talked about earlier. And modulators down here, your LFOs, your envelopes. So this is what you see when you open it up for the first time. It's completely blank and you have to add all the oscillators and stuff you need. It gets complicated after a while, but you have added everything that's in there, so it doesn't overwhelm you.
So on which oscillator types you have in, or what is the core of it?
We have the usual suspects, so we have the analog oscillator, so that does sine wave, triangle wave, whatever. We have a wavetable oscillator, unless you load wavetables that you may have already from other sources, and we also bundle a bunch with the SYNTH, of course. We have a sampler. It's not a multi-sampler, it's quite simple, but you can drop it on the sample, loop it, and do stuff like that. And we have a noise oscillator as well.
But there's a huge trend actually in the plugin world with wavetable. There
Yeah.
are tons of companies I see wavetable. What makes it? Do you maybe know it? Why it's now so a trend?
It is a very good way of doing things, I guess, because you can bake a lot of content into the wavetable. You can make a really, really complex wavetable, which doesn't tear down your CPU, because no matter how complex your wavetable is, it's quite easy to play it back. It's free, basically.
I have the impression that since Serum or Massive or this wavetable wave started extremely, and that every company is jumping on this train currently.
Yeah, I guess so. And we felt like we had to add a wavetable oscillator in a sense, because people now have this amazing collection of wavetables that I'd like to use, so it seemed reasonable. And we also have a quite capable wavetable editor built in, that can do a lot of stuff as well.
So there's an editor inside, so you can design your own wavetables, or
Yes. Yeah, you can design wavetables, and we also have a quite powerful function for converting samples to wavetables. So if you have like acoustic samples or synthesizer samples, you can drag and drop them into the wavetable editor, and it'll convert them to wavetables in a quite smart way.
Can we get maybe a look at the interface of the oscillator section?
Of course, of course. So to add the oscillators, just click here, and we have the analog oscillator. And we have the wavetable, of course. The sampler and the noise, and the sampler is bundled with a few samples out of the box. You can just drag and drop in your own samples as well. And here we have a lot of wavetables as well.
So you have
And
a unique feature on the wavetable side, or it's more classical, very what we know already on the market? Or do you have something implemented what is differently now in your synthesizer?
one thing we do is you can do audio rate modulations in this section, which is quite exciting. You can any oscillator you can connect to any other. So I can grab the value here from the wavetable by clicking this green button, and then phase modulate the analog up here. So this is like silly powerful. Instead of having these warp modes and stuff that others have, you can do basically the same thing using modulations. And this works not only for the oscillators like wavetable and analog. You can also do it for the sampler, for example. So you can use the sampler as a destination or a target for phase modulation.
And then it goes, I think, further, probably in the filter.
Yeah, we have a filter that you can just drop in here into the oscillator section.
So it is the oscillator section is combined with the filter in one section.
Yeah, that's true, because it's really powerful to do it that way, because now you can use the output of the filter for audio rate modulation. You can do audio rate modulation in this section, but you can't do it in the effects section, for example.
So it was the decision to take this filter directly in the generator.
Sorry?
So it was a decision from you for making the filter section directly also in the generator.
Yeah, exactly. We have the filter, and we also have the distortion effect in there.
Okay.
And both those are quite useful since they can participate in the FM side of things. And you can also do several layers in the oscillator section. So you can add another layer and have that route to different places. Which brings us to the effects.
The huge effect section.
Yeah, so you see this oscillator, it connects itself into the output module, which has an envelope, amplitude envelope, and then it sends itself to the lane 1, which is over here, where you can insert any effects you like from our library.
Lane means you can have different channels of effects, or what is this lane concept?
Right, so we have these 3 lanes, lane 1, lane 2, lane 3, and when you open it up, they are in series. So lane 1 passes to lane 2 and then to lane 3, but you can set them up to be in parallel or whatever you like by changing down here where to send them. And for the outputs in this section, you can send them to whatever you like. So you can send them to either lane, or you can send them to master, which bypasses all the effects, which is great if you want like a sub bass and you want to keep it clean without reverb, for example. You can also connect it to something called sideband, which you can then bring in. If you say use the phase distortion, you can use that as a modulator in the effect section.
So I know it from your concept. You are selling these modules of effects individually.
Yeah.
How this works now with Phaseplant? You have only this which you are purchased already, or are there some modules directly inside?
There are some free modules, so you can use those, of course. We also bundle Phaseplant with like different sizes of effects bundles. So this Phaseplant on its own is 169 euros, with a small bundle of effects with 199. If you load a preset that uses an effect that you don't own, you'll still be able to use the preset. It'll just lock the UI for that effect, So for the factory library of presets, you can use all the presets without having to worry about owning all the effects.
And on the on side, I see you have also modulators.
Yeah. Yeah, so for the modulators, you can add them in a similar way as the other modules. We have an envelope, of course, and an LFO. Okay. And the LFO, you can actually edit a waveform. So you have you can do a freeform LFO like that.
Okay. So you are not fixed to one specific waveform, but you can create some very advanced shapes.
Exactly, and you can even use it as a sequencer. You can like quantize it to 12 semitones, for example, and use it as a sequencer that way. So people have made like songs inside presets that way, which is a bit silly, but it's fun. We also have a random that sort of outputs random values, and you can bring in MIDI stuff like aftertouch and the note if you want to do key tracked things, velocity. The note is quite interesting. It's not entirely obvious first time, but all our frequency controls, like the cutoff, are 10 octaves, which is the same range as this note modulator. So if you grab the value here, modulate the cutoff at 100%, that'll key track the filter perfectly in tune with the keyboard.
And I see pressure is MPE or?
No, we don't have MPE support just yet. We plan to add it, but after the release, because we want to get it out as soon as possible. So pressure would be your aftertouch kind of stuff.
So you have, what is here nice, what I see is you have nicely built the engines from generators, you splitted them in a good way to understand how the signal flows. I see you have on the top also some macros.
Yeah, so the macros are there for two reasons. First off is for sound designers making presets. Since things can be a bit complicated down here, you can take those macros and label them into something, say brightness or air or body or whatever you like, and you can connect them up to other parameters down here.
So multiple parameters at once.
Yeah, they work just like the modulators. Just grab the macro, put it on the sync and the pathway there, and then that macro will control both of those parameters. Okay. And the mod wheel is up here as well with the same idea. So yeah, they can be used by preset designers to make simple, I can name them whatever you like that. And you can also use them for automation, because a lot of these knobs can't be automated from the DAW, because you can delete this and then the knob disappears, and then what happens to the automation, right? So what you do is you automate the macros and then tie them to whatever you like.
And I'm pretty sure it comes with a lot of presets on board.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the final number. I think it'll land about 300 or so from different creators.
Is there, I would say, do you give some advice to the sound designers? What do you want to have in the plugin final, or do you give them freedom to design what they want?
We give them pretty much free reign. They get usually very excited about Phaseplant when they try it out, because it's so open-ended. So we just let them roam free and and do whatever they like. We give them some instructions like what the levels should be, like how the octaves should work and stuff like that, but mostly they just do whatever they want.
So if they deliver their work, you are always surprised what they make.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun getting presets, because I'm not a sound designer myself. I'm like a hobbyist musician. So the people making sounds are so much better at using my product than I am. It's really funny. I'll show you a preset, for example. So this is a preset made by our friend Tom, or Evie as he calls himself. And it's one of those one song in a preset. So you just press the key here. You'll get this drum and bass beat. And it's quite crazy. You can do that in one preset.
So you can create really a one song in one preset.
Yeah. I mean, I don't recommend it, but you can.
So the kick is here created with the different engines, right?
Yeah. So we have the different layers here. They're groups. They're folded up, but I can expand them. Whoops. There we go. So here we have the kick.
Is it layers limited, or how many layers you can create?
There is some limitations, and actually this preset is the only one that hits the limitation.
Okay.
You can only have 30 modules in the generator section.
Okay.
But you can have as many groups as you like.
What's the CPU? Do you have successful created a plugin that is very low in CPU, or what? What are you?
I wouldn't say it's very, very low. It's okay. Compared to other synths, maybe you pay a little bit for all the flexibility, but it's not crazy. Of course, you can go overboard with this. It doesn't stop you from doing silly things. You can crank up the unison, crank up everything, and completely destroy your CPU if you want. But if you're sensible about it, it's definitely usable. People are using it, the beta version right now, to make music, and are happy with it. So.
Phaseplant is what you say in several weeks ready to go to the customers, and for what price? Is it already known, or?
Yeah, for Phaseplant itself will be 169. If you want some snap-ins with that, it'll be a bit more expensive. We will sell different sized bundles. The first tier will be 199. If you want all our plugins, that's $499. That includes all the EQs and multipass and everything we've done in the past.
And existing users benefit from their snap-ins directly in the synth, so they can use them directly in the new plugin.
Of course. If you already own the snap-ins, you don't have to buy anything else than the synthesizer. They'll work out of the box. But secret, we plan to launch 2 more snap-ins as well when we launch Phaseplant.
Okay. Thank you for this presentation and a little overview of your Swedish company, plugin company. So I wish good luck for Phaseplant, a good start. Thank you.
Of course. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And see you soon in one of the next Synth Anatomy Superbooth videos. Bye.